Escúchanos www.impau.tv y en frecuencia modulada 88.3 FM. Escuchas Unimpau Radio, música, variedad y noticias. Unimpau Radio, la radio virtual de la Fundación Universitaria Impau.
Sé lo que quiero. En 5 años me voy a ganar mi primer premio Simón Bolívar. Por eso decidí estudiar Comunicación Social y Periodismo en la Universidad Unimpau.
Estudia en la Universidad Unimpau, la primera escuela tecnológica en periodismo de América Latina. Llámanos al 332-3500. Con Unimpau lo puedes lograr.
Institución de Educación Superior sujeta a inspección y vigilancia por el Ministerio de Educación Nacional.
El mundo tiene alrededor de 7.000 millones de habitantes. 3.200 millones de personas tienen acceso a Internet, lo cual equivale al 40% de la población mundial. 2.000 millones utilizan redes móviles para navegar y 35 de cada 100 habitantes tienen una conexión de más de 5 megas de velocidad. Si estás aquí es porque haces parte de esta población y la web es tu mejor compañía. Por eso, no te desconectes. Conectes. Unimpau Radio tiene para ti un programa que te mantendrá sincronizado con lo que pasa en la web y el mundo de la tecnología. Sky 3. Todos los viernes de 5 a 7 p.m. hora Colombia. Conduce Juan David Oyuela.
Oye, ¿y esos pitos?
Los del son de la 39.
¿Cómo así?
Sí, señor. El espacio musical con la mejor salsa de todos los tiempos. Salsa de calidad.
Pero ¿y eso quién lo dice?
Lo dice al que la salsa sí le pega en Bogotá. Hola, Vicente.
Hola, amigos de Unimpau. Soy Vicente Moros Ortega, el que a la salsa sí le pega. Y los invito a escuchar El Son de la 39 con Neider, con Sebastián y todo su equipo de trabajo. Sigan disfrutando de la buena salsa aquí, en este su espacio favorito.
Si lo dice él,
póngale la firma.
De cara a mí. Entrevistas,
trivias,
notas,
datos curiosos,
experiencias,
cultura y mucho más.
Solo en De cara al mundo. Escúchanos a través de Unimpau Radio cada 15 días, los miércoles de 3 a 4 de la tarde.
Escuchas. Unimpau Radio. 88.3 FM.
From Bogota, this is Dispatch Colombia. I'm Desmond Bastide with the latest news and views from across the country for audiences around the world.
Dispatch Colombia.
You're listening to Dispatch Colombia. Hello and welcome to Dispatch Colombia. Well, Colombians and Syrians have more in common than you might think. Despite the end of the 50-year armed conflict in Colombia, the country continues to be the state with the most internally displaced people in the world, with 6.9 million uprooted citizens and counting, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency. Well, in 2016, 280,000 Syrian migrants arrived in Germany, a stark reversal in numbers after the country received nearly 890,000 refugees during the 2015 migration crisis, according to the German government. But now, Colombia has become a host country for Syrians to learn German. The work is being carried out by the Colombo German Cultural Institute, or the ICCA, with the support of the University of Leuphana in Lüneburg and the startup Social Kiron in Berlin. Well, Stefan Boele is the director of the ICCA here in Bogota and joins us now. Stefan, thanks for joining us on Dispatch Colombia.
Thanks for the invitation, Desmond.
Well, tell us first of all, how did Syrian refugees based in Colombia end up in German classes in Colombia?
Actually, it's like that. The most of the Syrian refugees, they are in Germany now, and we have some Syrians as well in Colombia, to whom we are we are giving classes. But the most of them, they are in Germany. So at the moment, we are giving classes to around 200 Syrian refugees, but also there are refugees from Nigeria and from other parts of the world.
Okay, so you're teaching German via the internet from Colombia here in Bogota to around 200 Syrian refugees based around Germany. And how did this come about? How did this happen?
We are giving in Spanish, it's called clases virtuales en vivo, and perhaps you know Open English. Yeah, you can see your teacher, you can see your classmates. There's a lot of interaction because you can see them, you can speak with them like in a normal classroom, and you have a table. Is it called a table to write on? You can make games, can make groups, and this is why this program is perfect to teach people in Germany, even if our teachers are here in the institute.
Okay. When they arrived, the bureaucracy, but in some ways it would seem very difficult from what happened during the conflict to them.
That's true. Actually, the program is to help the refugees to continue their studies, which they started in their countries, to give them a way to study as well in Germany. And that's why we are giving classes, because the language is a key for the integration. And as you mentioned, it's very different to teach Syrian peoples or refugees with other religions compared to Colombians, for example, because an example, there are some women, they want to be seen by the teacher, for example, and on the screen. If we are having like presentations, what's about your family, explain us something about your family. This is it's difficult because some of them, they lost all their family in their country of war. They lost their wife, they don't know where their children are. So we have like materials especially for them. Another example is if we're talking about parts of the body, like the arms, the head, the eyes, and with some parts of the body, some refugees have problems to talk about that, because it's a no-go to talk about that in their culture. So in the beginning, our teachers made some faults, because they touched topics like the family and things like that.
Trial and error. So at the start, when you started teaching the initial batch of students, there was some problems that you came up against. But all in all, how has the program developed, and how has the problems been ironed out, if you like?
So we're giving classes virtuales en vivo since like 4 years. And we are working together with universities in Germany, and one university, the university you mentioned, Leuphana University in Lüneburg, they have programs with refugees in their university. And in Germany, in this moment,
just to stop you there, when you said they have problems with
programs,
sorry.
Programs with refugees, and they called us, and we were talking, and they told us that they don't have enough teachers now, because there are coming a lot of refugees at the moment. So they have a lack of teachers, and they ask us, why don't we do a cooperation? And you are teaching classes from here, because here we have an amount of teachers. And they ask us, why don't we work together, and you are giving classes to refugees from Colombia to Germany. And it's the constellation is como a little bit weird. So as well, the medias in Germany, they made an article about us because they thought it's very interesting that a country like Colombia is giving classes helping Germany to solve their problems because there are no teachers.
Yeah, like I said at the start, I mean, the most displaced number of people in the world is here in Colombia. So, in an ironic sense, there's actually a common bond between Colombia and Syria for what's going on in the two countries. But no one would have expected that classes are being taught from Colombia to Syrians in Germany. One of the other questions is why German? So the Syrians in Germany are learning German because they have arrived with no language skills whatsoever. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's the case. A lot of our courses are for beginners, bloody beginners. It's an A1. So they were starting from zero. There are some who are living there since half a year, 1 year. They have a certain level yet, but as we mentioned, the most of them, they are starting with the basic level A1. And of course there are some difficulties because some of them, they are living in houses, especially for refugees, and they don't have enough computers, for example. They have a lot of things to do. They are living together in a small room with 5 other peoples. There is like interaction. They don't have there's not quiet.
They do, yeah, and is it a case where obviously to practice a language you need to be exposed to it? So are these Syrian refugees getting exposed to German outside the classroom and outside where they're being kept in these houses in Germany? Are they mixing with the communities and being able to practice? Has that been your experience?
Yeah, some of them, they have like their teaching place where they can use the computer in the University of Leuphana. Or they have German friends, they help them and say, no, come to my house, there it's quiet, you can use my computer, there's a stable internet connection. So they invite them. Some of them are going to internet cafes where they can have in the class, and there are so we always found a way to
accommodate them, yeah. And just go into the actual practicalities of it. So is it one student at a time, or is it many in one class, or how does that actually work?
Yeah, we have a class of a maximum of 10 people, but we can work in groups as well, but we can also having discussions between these 10 people. So this is another point, because some of them, they are from different religions or from different countries where there is war between them, and there's sometimes there are problems because we were talking about religion and wars and things like that. They are getting in conflict in the class, so the teacher has to say, look, you are refugees in Germany, we have the same level, we are equal here in the classroom. Please don't talk about politics and the war you're having in your country. This was difficult at the beginning as well.
So I can imagine how did you actually saw this I wouldn't say violence, but aggression in the actual classroom between the refugees, and you had to either cut the class completely, and this is all over the internet, I should say again, it's continuously over a connection on the internet and via screens, and you're saying to people, please stop arguing about politics or the like.
Yeah, in the beginning it was difficult because our teachers are not they don't have the training for things like that. But we made the experience that in the first or in the second class there were these kind of things, and at the end they were like friends, because they recognized, no, we are all learning German, we all like to be we like to live in Germany, and they forgot about that, I think, because we are doing like games with them, and after the first and second class, it was like they didn't talk anymore about that, and they were like friends. This was nice to see.
And from the other groups that you've been working with, have you found that because you're aware of what to do and what not to do now, you've had no further issues of conflict within the classroom?
Yes, I think it was like that. Yeah.
And going back to who funds this and who pays for it, the SPREC is the centre that you run here in Bogota, and you teach many Colombians, but obviously you have to be paid for your time, you and the teachers. Where does that come from? Where does that money come from?
We're working with the Leuphana University, and as well with a university which is only online. It's called Kiron. You mentioned it before. They are a university especially for refugees, especially only online, and they have like funds from, for example, from the Ministry of Education and Investigation in Germany, and so they are paying us for the classes. We don't get rich with that. We are getting like zero.
Okay, so it's a non-profit.
A non-profit.
It's a non-profit investment that you're doing. So the teachers are paid for their time, but there's no profit for the actual organization that you work for.
That's it. So yeah.
And the Colombian students that you teach here, how long has the organization been running here in Bogota?
Now in this year we are 14 years old, 14 years on the market. Last year we had more than 1,600 students. Now we have like 45 teachers or other people who are working in the institute. They are like 80% of them are Germans. So there's a real German atmosphere in our institute. We have a garden behind the house with typical tables and banks of Germany. We're selling sausages, German sausages on Wednesday. So and
the growth in the interest in learning German here in Colombia. Why do you think that has happened?
Some years ago, a lot of people thought, a lot of young people, students from Colombia, thought the best way, the only way is go to the United States to learn English. Obviously, it's necessary, it's priority to learn English because all people, a lot of people in the world are talking English. You also can study in English in Germany, and a lot of people, since in the last years, saw that there are a lot of opportunities in Germany to study in English as well, but also in German, and there are a lot of stipendium and becas.
The Erasmus, it's a scholarship. Sorry,
scholarships from the DAD, for example. It's like a full scholarship you get, and so the people like to study in Germany because the education is good. There are a lot of companies. Our economy is really strong, and the universities are free, so you don't have to pay matriculas.
Well, we'll continue talking about that and the impact on German society of both the Syrian refugees and the kind of funds that Germany are pushing in to this program. We'll be back at Dispatch Colombia very shortly as we're talking about Germans teaching Syrian refugees in Germany via Colombia.
Escuchas Unimpau Radio 88.3 FM.
Sé lo que quiero. En 5 años me voy a ganar mi primer premio Simón Bolívar. Por eso decidí estudiar Comunicación Social y Periodismo en la Universidad Unimpau.
Estudia en la Universidad Unimpau, la primera escuela tecnológica en periodismo de América Latina. Llámanos al 332-3500. Con Unimpau lo puedes lograr.
Institución de Educación Superior sujeta a inspección y vigilancia por el Ministerio de Educación Nacional.
De cara Entrevistas,
trivias,
notas,
datos curiosos,
experiencias,
cultura y mucho más.
Solo en De Cara al Mundo. Escúchanos a través de Unimpau Radio cada 15 días, los miércoles de 3 a 4 de la tarde.
En Unimpau Radio, vive la felicidad.
Vive la felicidad.
Un programa motivacional para la promoción y aplicación de la felicidad en el ámbito laboral. Escúchanos todos los jueves a las 10 de la mañana a través de Unimpau Radio. Conduce Estefanía Ruiz y Javier Moreno. Vive la felicidad.
Tu piel roja radio. Deportes, actualidad, datos, viajes, anécdotas, entrevistas, concursos. Todo lo que te apasiona en un solo lugar. Tu piel roja radio, lunes a viernes, 12 a 1 de la tarde.
El mundo tiene alrededor de 7.000 millones de habitantes. 3.200 millones de personas tienen acceso a Internet, lo cual equivale al 40% de la población mundial. 2.000 millones utilizan redes móviles para navegar y 35 de cada 100 habitantes tienen una conexión de más de 5 megas de velocidad. Si estás aquí es porque haces parte de esta población y la web es tu mejor compañía. Por eso, no te desconectes. Conectes. Unimpau Radio tiene para ti un programa que te mantendrá sincronizado con lo que pasa en la web y el mundo de la tecnología. Sky 3. Todos los viernes de 5 a 7 p.m. hora Colombia. Conduce Juan David Oyuela.
Oye, ¿y esos pitos?
Los del son de la 39.
¿Cómo así?
Sí, señor. El espacio musical con la mejor salsa de todos los tiempos. Salsa de calidad.
Pero ¿y eso quién lo dice?
Lo dice al que la salsa sí le pega en Bogotá. Hola, Vicente.
Hola amigos de Unimpau, soy Vicente Moros Ortega, el que a la salsa sí le pega, y los invito a escuchar El Son de la 39 con Neider, con Sebastián y todo su equipo de trabajo. Sigan disfrutando de la buena salsa aquí, en este su espacio favorito.
Si lo dice él,
póngale la firma.
Estoy cansada de tantas cosas que hay por hacer. Solo quiero relajarme.
Les tengo una idea. Pongámonos todos en modo relax.
¿En modo relax? ¿Cómo es eso?
Sí, mira a Camila y a Manuel. Ah, qué bien la estoy pasando.
En modo relax tenemos la mejor música, tendencias, información y mucho más. Conéctense.
Escúchanos todos los jueves a las 2 de la tarde a través de Unimpau Radio.
¡Modo relax!
La Cigarra, tu punto de encuentro. El espacio donde escucharás a tus artistas favoritos y nuevos talentos de todos los géneros musicales. Con reportajes, crónicas y entrevistas.
En La Cigarra hablaremos con invitados de temas culturales, económicos, educativos y te informaremos sobre actividades y datos curiosos para que te programes con los planes que tiene tu ciudad.
Conéctate todos los miércoles de 4 a 6 de la tarde, con repetición los sábados por la señal de Unimpau Radio.
Síguenos por nuestras redes sociales como La Cigarra Online en Twitter, Facebook, Instagram y YouTube. Escríbenos a lacigarraonline@gmail.com.
La Cigarra, tu punto de encuentro. Dirige Edison Fonseca.
Escuchas Unimpau Radio 88.3 FM.
You're listening to Dispatch Colombia. You're listening to Dispatch Colombia. If you have a story you would like us to cover, get in touch by emailing us at dispatchcolombia@gmail.com. Estás escuchando Dispatch Colombia por Unimpau Radio. Welcome back to Dispatch Colombia. Thanks for joining us on the program today. And if you have any comments on the programs we're covering every week, you can get in touch on Twitter at Dispatch Colombia. You can also write to us at dispatchcolombia@gmail.com. Today we're discussing Syrian refugees. The reason we're discussing Syrian refugees is because a German institution here in Bogota is teaching Syrian refugees via the internet, and I'm joined by the director of the ICCA, Stefan Boyole, and he's been telling us about how the program started and how it's been going. We were talking about the German government and the support you're getting from the German government to teach the Syrian refugees based in Germany from here in Bogota. But what in Germany has been the acceptance been like? Because as I mentioned at the start of the program, 890,000 refugees entered in 2015, plus another 280,000 in 2016, and more this year. But there's been some controversy along with this influx, hasn't there?
Yeah. So we have like 82 million people, Germans, who are living in Germany, and now they arrived like 1 million of refugees. So in my opinion, we can solve this problem. It's like it sounds a lot, 1 million, but in compared to 82 million people, it's not too much. But there are some peoples, they are afraid now because the media, some parties, they are making fear.
Drumming up some concerns by members of the public for this this influx is some people. The usual things you hear is jobs are threatened, and German lifestyle is going to be there's going to be a change to the German culture because of the influx of Muslims in particular, and what they may or may not do to German culture. What in your opinion has been the most dramatic change with the influx of refugees in Germany?
For me, the thing who changed most is that a lot of people in Germany are afraid of refugees. There's a right-wing party, it's called AfD, Alternative für Deutschland, which just had elections in September.
Which I think in some English publications, AfD.
AfD is the name, yeah, AfD. And we had elections, and since the war there wasn't a party in the parliament who is right-wing. It was the first time now a lot of people voted for them because they didn't agree with their policy of Angela Merkel, our chancellor, because they are afraid of the refugees, and these parties, they are making like fear of the people. They say, "Mir, look, there are now 1 million arrived, yeah, and for sure they will take in 1 year. They will call their families, so they all have a lot of children and prejudices like this, and then there will be 5 millions and things like that. That the arguments that are not true. It won't be like this, that they all will arrive or call their families with 5 other family members. And this party also say we have to build a wall around Germany to keep them out, but it's not the solution. They don't have solutions. They are making fear, and the Germans are
I read that I think it's in the last 24 hours the German government is currently in negotiations. They're trying to form a government after the election, and there is a cap going to be put in place of 200,000 refugees in the year ahead, as far as I understand. That has been agreed with one of the parties. So there is a reduction, but even if you look at the figures that I just mentioned, 890,000 in 2015, 280,000 last year. But if there's a cap of 200,000, the situation would suggest anyway that the amount of Syrians wanting to come to Germany had dropped naturally, in this case for Syrian refugees. But going back to the classes and how you mentioned that after the initial classes in German from Bogota over the internet, that the reaction of the students was difficult at the start, but then they settled down, and even though they were from different parts of the country and they were involved in war between themselves, with their families may have been, or their communities, in this case they actually settled down and became friends. Do you think that is a microcosm of the wider Syrian the refugee population in Germany, that they're just getting on with things, and the majority of them are joining society in a good way?
Yeah, so we are a little bit far from here in Colombia and Germany. Between Colombia and Germany there are 10,000 kilometers, but our teachers are really close to them. They as well, in these 2 months the classes has a duration of 2 months. They are getting like friends as well, but there are a lot of presential courses in Germany as well, where the refugees meet themselves personally, and I can imagine in these classes you can compare it with our classes. In the beginning, for sure, they don't like each other because of the problems they had, but I can imagine that in the duration of the classes they will see that the other person is not their enemy,
threat, yeah.
And they have the same problems in Germany. They have exactly the same problems. They are in the same situations, and I can imagine that it's on the micro base. It's like it's
a concern for people. Yeah. I couldn't leave without mentioning the Christmas market incident last year. I mean, that obviously would have concerned a lot of Germans. In your experience, I don't know if this was brought up with some of the students that you were teaching, but the concerns from the Germans in Germany about the refugees, do they feel that? Do they experience that? And learning a language, has that made them in some ways understand more about what the Germans are saying about them?
I think it's like that as well. Now there is, for example, as well a situation. There is a black man, for example, or a man who looks like from Syria, but he lives in Germany since 13 years, or his family arrived and he's born in Germany. Even that people say that they are treated not good of some Germans, because they think they are from Syria and they will steal their work and things like that. And in these cases, the language is important to explain how the situation is. And even the people who are learning German, and they have a basic level, now they have the chance to talk to the neighbor, for example. So even it's like some words they can get in contact with the neighbor, and that's the first step for integrations. If they don't speak German, there is no way the German people won't get closer to them.
Kiron, which is the Kiron is the startup, the Social Kiron in Berlin. Can you explain a little bit more about what that does? And you said it's solely for refugees. I mean, was this just started at the start of the crisis, or had this been an organization that was running before?
Actually, it started with the crisis in 2015. There were some students, like 2 students, and they took some
German students,
and they took some refugees to their house, because some of the people in Germany took the people to their house because they have a room free, and they let them live there like 1-2 months. And they saw that this person, they were giving a host, he was from Syria, but he was well educated. So he was a university student, and when he come to Germany, he didn't had no chances, like you mentioned before. It's a bureaucratic. It's
bureaucratic. Yeah. There's too many forms to fill out, and to get this job, you need this card or you need this criteria to get in.
Yes, exactly. And they saw this problem, and they thought, no, we will found a university, kind of university, where we will give the chance to refugees who don't have papers, even they don't have papers, to continue with their university career, for example. And so they offered courses like our courses, but also courses in engineering, in architect. So they offered a lot of courses for free, and you don't have to show papers, formulas, no, nothing. You just enter to the page. You have to show that you are really interested, and you can start to learn. And the goal is that in 1 year maybe they can get their papers and they can apply in a normal university.
So it's like a foundation course, essentially. It's like a foundation course before you can possibly enter the university. You can have a foundation level in this. I mean, again, there might be some people listening who think, you know, I'm native from the country and I can't afford to do something like this because I can't pay for it, and it swells some animosity, or there's cases where a country doesn't offer these free services. Are those services offered in Germany anyway, there to everyone?
Yes.
And it would have been before. Forget about refugees. These services are offered to every German if they want them.
For Germans, there are some. Our social system in Germany is very well. For example, compared to Colombia. So, for example,
well, is there a social system?
Yeah, and so, for example, if we will lose our work. For example, you're earning like 1 million of pesos. There is in euros, but if you earn like 1,000 pesos, and you lose your work, the state will pay you for 1 year 66% of your salary.
Okay.
So they help each other. The state helps you very much in Germany in general, and they offer as well, if you lose your work, they offer you courses in English and specializations. And so yes, the social system is very good, and also for the refugees in this moment.
Finally, before we finish, where do you see the course going? I mean, you said you have 200 students currently learning English. Do you expect this to rise? Will it increase, or is the program going to be kept busy because there's always more refugees to teach English to?
German.
Teach German. I beg your pardon. Yeah, German.
So this project we are having right now, it's like a pilot project. So the university, the Kiron University, and the people who gave money for this project will see how if it works.
Effectual, yeah.
If it has effect. And now the University of Lüneburg will make an analysis.
It'll analyze the system.
The projects. They will see how the people advanced in their German. They had to do a test at the beginning, and now they are having to do another test at the end. So we will see if the project worked really, and on this depends if we will continue with this project or not.
Okay. Very interesting stuff. Well, Stefan Boele, the director of the ICCA and SPREC here in Bogota, thank you for joining us on Dispatch Colombia. Just some more stories to cover in the last week here in Colombia before we go. First of all, Colombia's border region with Venezuela is plagued by illegal armed groups trying to control smuggling routes, according to Caracol TV on Monday. The violence takes place in and around the border of the city of Cúcuta, and where even two countries' main border crossings came under attack over the weekend. Colombia's national authorities have begun investigating whether police last week committed a massacre that was blamed on dissident FARC guerrillas. On Monday, the National Police announced it would suspend 4 anti-narcotics agents accused of having opened fire on a group of protesting cocoa farmers in the southwestern municipality of Tumaco, that's according to Colombian reports. And the Colombian capital has been chosen to be the first headquarters of the South Summit Alliance of the Pacific, a summit of entrepreneurship and innovation that was started in the south of Europe and will now be in the American continent. The event will be held on the 30th of November to the 1st of December within the framework of the Eros Festival, and a space to promote innovation and entrepreneurship which is the same goal as the South Summit Alliance of the Pacific. That's it for Dispatch Colombia for this week. If you have any comments on the program today, you can get in touch at Dispatch Colombia on Twitter or dispatchcolombia@gmail.com. We'll see you again soon.
From Bogota, this is Dispatch Colombia.
From Bogota, this is Dispatch Colombia.
Join the Dispatch Colombia discussion on Twitter at Dispatch Colombia or email us at dispatchcolombia@gmail.com and join us again next time.
Escuchas.